David Menzies for Rebel News here in Amherstburg, Ontario. And folks, the sun is setting on our summer, and unfortunately, the sun is setting on this bottling plant. I'm outside the Diageo bottling plant. It bottles Crown Royal whiskey. It has been in this little town since 1971. But earlier this month, a bombshell announcement was made by Diageo, which is to say that come next February, this plant is going to be shuttered. Now, it evidently has nothing to do with the tariff tiff. It's all about Diageo streamlining its operations year over year, going back 2024. Operating profits were down 28%. Now, I can't tell you how big a blow this is to little Amherstburg. 160 unionized jobs are going to go by the wayside. And it did attract the attention of Premier Doug Ford. Here's what he had to say.
So this is what I think about Crown Royal. That's what they could do. And I think everyone else should do the same thing. Start supporting companies that make whiskey here by Ontario people. That's what we need to do, is support each other.
And you know, folks, I am of two minds when it comes to the shutdown, the impending shutdown, that is, of the Diageo bottling facility. One is that Diageo, being a private company, it can choose to set up or shut down anywhere it pleases. It is based in London, England, and it is quite the booze behemoth. It rakes in 20 billion US in annual revenues. And what a portfolio it has. Not only the Crown Royal Canadian whiskey brands, but Johnnie Walker Scotch, Smirnoff Vodka, Don Julio Tequila, Captain Morgan Rum, Guinness Beer, and many, many others. On the other hand, I can understand Premier Ford going to bat for Ontarians and Ontario workers. But at the end of the day, Crown Royal is very much a Canadian product. It is distilled in Gimli, Manitoba. It is also bottled in Victoriaville, Quebec. That bottling plant will not be shut down. And it sources its ingredients from the prairies, including barley, rye, corn, and other commodities. So when Doug Ford is talking about yanking Diageo brands from the shelf, and that will hurt the company. I understand the sales figures for Diageo brands at the LCBO. That totals about $740 million a year. Isn't he also hurting those Canadians that work in Gimli, Manitoba, and Victoriaville, Quebec, and of course the farmers out west? It is altogether such a sad situation. Maybe there'll be a resolution. And in the meantime, folks, I just want to understand what the rules are when it comes to booze that is verboten at the Liquor Control Board of Ontario and booze that is welcomed. It all began in 2022 when Premier Ford yanked Russian vodka off the shelves. That was due to the war in Ukraine. And then earlier this year, what I call the $1 billion photo op in terms of yanking American booze. We're talking Kentucky bourbon, California wines, and other products. That is gone from the LCBO. And by the way, we're paying a storage fee in warehouses for all that. When I say we, I mean the ever-beleaguered Ontario taxpayer. And now comes news that come February, the Premier, if his threats are legit, all of the Diageo brands are going to be verboten as well. It makes you wonder, are we going to get to a point where there's not a lot of liquor for the liquor board to control and, for that matter, sell? But here's the thing. Why is it that there are something like 176 products sourced from China at the LCBO? I mean, China is not a good actor. They're carrying out a genocide of the Uyghur people. China is what gave the world COVID-19. Millions died, and there was trillions of dollars to the world economy, and yet Chinese products are welcomed in with open arms. Well, maybe is it Doug Ford? He's kind of like one of his best buddies, Justin Trudeau. You know, he kind of admires the dictatorship of China in terms of getting things done. You remember that blackface quote?
Admiration I actually have for China.
So again, in the complicated and increasingly complicated world of booze economics, I just want to know, has anyone out there got a rule book for me, a playbook that outlines what is approved, what is forbidden? Now, folks, I did reach out to a couple of employees here. They said they're not talking to the media, and they really don't know the most recent status of how things are being negotiated. That's assuming there are negotiations and that the closure in February is not a done deal. I also reached out to Diego's media relations team. Unfortunately, I have heard no response. In the meantime, let's keep our fingers crossed. Let's hope Diageo reverses itself. I mean, Lord knows we've seen Doug Ford flip-flop on too many issues to mention. It would be nice if Diageo flip-flops on the closure of the Amherstburg plant. We'll be keeping a watch on this. We'll see what happens come February. For Rebel News, I'm David Menzies.